did our best too. Today, I'd like to welcome you to the second and last joint panel of director Kenji Kamiyama and producer Tomohiko Ishii. So let's give them a warm round of applause.
皆さんはじめまして、日本でアニメーションの監督をしております金子健二です。
Hello everybody, as you may know, my name is Kenji Kamiyama and I am an animation director.
今日は短い時間ですけれども、よろしくお願いします。
I know we don't have that much time together today, but I hope to have a very fun and exciting panel.
プロデューサーの石井です。今日は朝早い時間なので、こうやって少ない人数でお話しできるのはとてもラッキーなことだと思います。昨日は質問の途中で時間が人が多く過ぎてしまったので、今日は少し質問の時間を増やしていっぱい何かお答えできればなと思います。よろしくお願いします。
Good morning. My name is Tomohiko Ishii, the producer, and yesterday we had a lot more people in the room, and I had to cut some of the questions short at the end. But this morning, with having fewer people, hopefully we'll be able to get some more intimate discussions in here today, and hope everybody will enjoy it.
今日はですね、今日は僕が監督になるまでの話とかが多かったので、今日は監督になってからの話をしようかなと思ってるんですけども。
Yesterday, I know I spoke a lot about my time on what it took to become a director. Today, I'd like to talk about a little bit more of my career since I had become an actual director.
昨日僕の新作である009がこちらで上映されたと思うんですけども、009を昨日見られた方はいらっしゃいますか？
So I know that yesterday we showed 009 CYBORG here. Is there anybody in the room that was able to see that last night? Oh, perhaps that's great.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you very much.
僕はですね、監督になったのが35歳の時。
So I actually was able to become a director at the age of 35.
で、最初の監督作品がですね、ミニパトという作品で、短編なんですけど、宇宙劇場作品になってますね。
So the first work that I was able to direct was actually called Mini Pato, and even though it was a shorter animation, it was actually in the theaters.
日本では、パトレイバーというシリーズの映画があったんですけども、それのなんていうのちっちゃいキャラクターにした、映画の前につくほど短い短編でした。
And so, in Japan, there's a series called Pat Labor, a TV series, right? And this was kind of a show that you'd almost show before with the little mini chibi characters.
当時はよくですね、そのデビュー作がその作品でいいのかっていうことを周りの方からは言われたんですけども、逆にデビュー作がそういう作品だったおかげで、とても楽しく作品を作ることができて、僕にとってラッキーだったなと思っています。
So at the time that Mini Pato came out, I was often asked by my peers and fellow members in the industry, "Are you sure that you want a chibi anime to be your debut work? Are you really sure about that?" And now that he thinks about it, actually, he thinks I feel lucky that I was able to do that because it really conveyed a sense of how much fun you can have creating anime.
その後に僕が監督したのが、僕の代表作の一つでもある広角機動隊スタンドのコンプレックスです。
And the next work I did after that is probably well known to many of you in here is Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex.
この作品を作るときは、これはテレビシリーズだったんですけど、
This was also a TV series, as you know.
この作品が決まった時もですね、いろんな方から 降下機動隊っていう有名なタイトルをね監督するのプレッシャーがあるんじゃないかっていう質問をよくされたんですけど、これもね僕にとってはすごく楽しいチャレンジだったのでね、あまりプレッシャーを感じることなくですね、降下機動隊という作品の監督をすることができたなと今思って。
And so I was asked again by my peers at that time. I said, they asked me, so Ghost in the Shell has a history. It has a huge following already. So what do you think about trying to create a continuation of that story on your own? And now that I think about it, I think it was a great challenge, and I was very fortunate to be able to do that work.
毎回その監督をするときにですね、そのテーマを決めて仕事に向かうようにしているんですけれども、降下機動隊を作るときのテーマはですね、一般の降下機動隊ってすごくマニアックなファンが多い作品だったんですけれども、一般の人にもなるべく分かりやすい降下機動隊を作るというのが最初に考えた。
So every time I try to direct a work, I always want to have a certain message or a certain theme that I follow along with. And in the case of Ghost in the Shell, it has a lot of hardcore fans already. You're somewhat of a special group, really dedicated fans. But I wanted to try to make the piece into something that the wider audience, the general public, could appreciate just as well.
もともと難しいテーマの作品だったのでね、逆にそれを意識することで大勢のファンの方に見てもらうことができたんじゃないかなと思っています。
The themes are complex inside the show as well, but I think partly because of the cerebral nature, it's really helped to gain audience and viewership.
あとはその降下機動隊僕が心がけている監督するときに心がけていることが一つに、アニメーションというのは全てが作られた世界で手で描かれた全部が嘘の世界なので、その世界の中にいかにリアルに入れていくかということを僕は心がけるようにしています。
One of the other points that I really try to pay a lot of attention to when I create anime is, animation is all fictitious. It's not a real world. But I try to take as much elements of reality as possible and incorporate those into the work.
例えば、スタンドローンコンプレックスのファーストシーズンでは、例えばサリンジャーというですね、実在する作家の作品を事件の中にヒントとして入れてみるとか。
So, for example, in the first TV series for Ghost in the Shell, one of the things I did to bring that reality in is take lines from J.D. Salinger's book and incorporate that as a hint into the story.
あとはその日本で実際に起きたですね、薬害で薬の害があった大きな事件があるんですけども、それをストーリーの中に組み込むとかですね、そういったことをすることでストーリーにリアリティを足すという演出を心がけています。
And another point of reality is at the time in Japan there was a large pharmaceutical scandal that was actually really happening. And so I was able to kind of bring that modern theme, that current day theme into the work as well and incorporate it.
そういったことをですね、大体全ての作品の時に意識をしていて、精霊の森人っていう作品の時はこれはアジア風のファンタジーだったので、この作品になかなかこのリアルを入れていくっていうのは難しかったんですけれども。
And so I try to pay attention to these types of things and incorporate them into my works. But with my next work, Moribito, Guardian of the Sacred Spirit, it's an Asian fantasy work. So it's quite challenging to try to figure out how to bring some current day reality into that type of a piece.
例えばですね、日本の刀が日本刀っていうのがあるんですけども、日本刀を実際に作り方とかをですね、ファンタジーの中に取り入れるとか、あとはですね、日本の侍 侍スピリットですね、ファンタジーの中に取り入れることで、全てが作り物ではない、そこにいる人たちが歴史を持って生きている人たちに見えるようにしていくというような工夫をセレモニーの時はしたりしました。
And so what I tried to do was incorporate aspects of, there's a Japanese katana, a Japanese sword. So I wanted to incorporate, accurate portrayal of how those swords are actually made. So even though it's a fantasy piece, we're talking about real sword-making techniques in the anime. Additionally, samurai spirit is the word he used, that personality, that belief that the Japanese samurai had, is to portray that same thought and philosophy in some of the characters in the show.
その次の作品の、東名伝はもう舞台自体が現代の日本だったわけですけども、僕の作品をね、その海外の方も見てくれているということをですね、少し意識して、東名伝のスタートはホワイトハウスの前で物語がスタートするとかですね、そういったことを東名伝では取り入れてきました。
So my next work, jumping forward in the timeline to modern day, today, Eden of the East, where I was very conscious of international audiences in the making of this story, and I put the setting to start in Washington, D.C. So it was by starting in Washington, D.C. and showing the characters in modern day, it was a reality relation.
実際にそのワシントン DC が直接取材もしたんですけれども、最初はGoogle Earth で主人公たちがどういうふうな経路を通って物語が進むかっていうのを日本にいながらシミュレーションしたんですね。
So when I was planning on the routes and the paths that the characters would actually travel in New York City, I was actually in Japan and I fired up Google Earth and I went through simulations of the actual routes that I would take them on.
それをリハーサルを繰り返してホワイトハウス取材をするときに直接来て頭の中にある程度入っているのでその道を自分たちでも歩いてみたんですけど実際にやっぱりワシントンに行ってみて想像していたところよりも面白いロケーションがいっぱい実在するわけですよね。そうするとそっちに場所変えようとかその場に来たやっぱり雰囲気っていうのを大事にして実際に東名伝で出てきたところっていうのはワシントン DC に全部存在する場所になっています。
And so we actually did travel to the States and to Washington, D.C. and do the actual location research. But in doing this, we had already researched the routes on Google Earth. And so when we get there, we look around and we recognize the route. So we start to follow the path. And along the way, we notice things that are maybe more interesting than what we discovered on the Google Earth. And so we kind of have to adapt our plan and incorporate some of these elements. But the one thing I can tell you is that all of the locations that you see in Eden of the East actually, truly, really do exist.
なので実際になかったところはその主人公が住んでいたであろうアパートの中だけは架空のものなんですけどそれ以外は実際のロケーションを使用しています。
So if I correct myself just a little bit, then I would say probably the only place that really didn't exist exactly as you saw it was inside the main character's apartment.
実際のアパートには鎖がかかっててですね、入れないようになっていたちょっと怪しいアパートがあったんですね。
Yeah, so if you remember, there was kind of a chain blocking entrance to the apartment and kind of making it hard to get in. Yeah, that really wasn't there.
でもそのアパートに主人公が住んでたら面白いなと思ったので。
But I thought, hey, if the main character would actually live in a place like that, that'd be pretty interesting.
その後シナリオにはあったんですけれど、日本領事館にまで主人公が行って、そこから空港まで戻るっていうのがシナリオにはあったんですけども、日本領事館まで行くっていうのは実際に映像にしてみると多分あんまり面白くないので、そこはカットされているんですね。
And so our original plan for the story too was to actually show the main character traveling to the Japanese embassy, and then from the Japanese embassy to the airport. But when we actually looked at what that would appear like to the audience, it really was kind of boring, so that got cut.
建物も全然かっこよくなかったんです。
The building didn't even look that great.
そのようにしてですね、東のエデンなんかは日本に主人公たちが戻ってからも日本に実際にあるところを使っていて、豊洲のショッピングモールとか横浜にある大桟橋とかですね、そういったところを実際に全て日本に存在するところを舞台にして。
And so, even after the characters fly back to Japan in Eden of the East, the locations that you see there are also real and do exist, such as the shopping mall you see in Toyosu and bridge in Yokohama. All of those are real places that exist.
で日本ではね、そういう作品の作り方をしている人も結構僕以外にもいるんですけれども、ファンの人たちもそういうのに非常に敏感になっていて、日本のその豊洲だったり横浜だったりも実際の舞台になったところにテレビで放映された後にですね、ファンの人たちが自分たちで行ったりしてくれてますね。
And so, I'm not alone in directing and creating works that follow the same type of methodology, especially in Japan, where you're using actual real locations. There are several others that do this as well. But what's interesting is that the audience in Japan is also very sensitive, very interested in the actual places. And so what will often happen is after the show airs and shows these particular locations, people will really travel to each of those places and see for themselves with their own eyes what it looks like.
そうすることでやっぱり作品にファンの人が親しみを持ってくれたりとか、この物語の中で描かれていることっていうのが自分たちの生活とつながっているんだなというふうに思ってもらえるんじゃないかなと思います。
And so what I really believe is that through doing these types of techniques, the fans too can create a deeper bond, a more real connection with not only the show, but with each other and just the whole piece in general. So it's that relationship, that connection that they make with the reality of the show that I think helps them appreciate the work even more.
なので東のエデンは映画版も作られたんですけども、映画版はニューヨークにも場所を移してですね、ワシントンだけではなくてニューヨークに出てきたりとか、また日本にも戻るんですけれども、そういった実際にあるところっていうのが出てくるっていうことをファンの人はすごく理解してくれてたので、日本からもですね、ワシントン DC に行って僕たちがロケーションした主人公の住んでたアパートとかですね、ニューヨークのそのタクシー会社とか、ちょっと治安が悪いところなんだけども、そこにわざわざファンの女の子が一人で行って自分でキャラクターと同じ位置で写真を撮ったりっていう、そういうすごい作品のことを好きになってくれたファンの人たちがたくさんいました。
So, as we continued with Eden of the East in the movie, after the TV series, it also takes place in New York, and they fly back to Japan, not just a Washington, D.C. setting, but one of the interesting things is all of those places too are also real places that exist, and by now a lot of the fans have come to realize that we're using real locations in the works and portraying them as accurately as we can. And so some fans, in particular there was a young female fan who even traveled from Japan to America and followed the same path, and even went and investigated the apartment that the main characters lived in, and checked on the taxi companies that they used, and even if it was not the safest area to be walking around in, She's still doing. There's a lot of fans that are conscious of this and actually will make that extra effort. It's really amazing.
やっぱりファンの人たちもこの物語が自分たちの世界とつながってるんだというふうに思ってくれると作品への思い入れが強くなるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
And so I really do believe that these connections between what we can portray in anime and what's real in our world and the acknowledgement and connection of those really helps deepen the experience and make it a tighter appreciation, a deeper appreciation of the work.
その意識を持って大体僕は今まで作品を作ってきてますし、石井プロデューサーとはまさにその東のエデンからですね、一緒に仕事するようになっていて、取材とかね、海外での取材とかができるようになったのも石井プロデューサーと一緒に仕事するようになったのが、きっかけで、そういった広がりをさらに持たせることができるようになったんじゃないかなと思ってます。
And so I really feel, that using these types of techniques and this approach has helped create a deeper fanship, if you were. And also, through this work, I was able to meet producer Ishii, and with his help and support, we've actually been able to have a lot of communication, not only inside Japan with media, but even overseas. And I really think it's a lot of this credit is due to him, to helping expand this market and this awareness of even the East. So I'm really glad to have been able to start working with producer Ishii on this.
石井です。今の監督の話を聞いて思い出した。東エデンのテレビシリーズの最終回というのが、主人公の滝沢明が日本に飛んでくるミサイルを一発一発撃ち落とすというシーンなんですよ。
As I was listening to Kamiyama-san speak about the eating of the East, I was remembering about the scene where the main character Takizawa shoots down the missiles that come in.
アニメーションはちょうどアニメの中の時間よりも1年早く進める。ちょうどアニメが放映した1年後に本当のその日がやって
2011年。
そうですね。
So the year after the animation was released, the actual event of missile launch actually occurred.
さっき監督が言ったように、実際のその日はとても記念日、コスプレをした滝沢君が実際にそのアニメと同じ場所に集まった。
So as that day became would be an anniversary because it fell on the same day. The main character Takizawa does a cosplay and shows up to that location.
携帯で写真を送ってもらったら滝沢が20人ぐらいいました。
And he received a picture of that reunion, if you would, on the anniversary. There were about 20 Takizawas in the picture.
僕がいつもその海外の人と話をするときに言うんですけど、日本には大体3つのタイプのアニメーションの種類というかターゲットがあると思ってます。
I always, when I speak with the international audiences, I explain that there are 3 types of
genres.
Yeah, genres.
一つはそのワンピースとかドラゴンボールとかすごく人気なもう漫画が宮崎としてあるんです。
First is like a Dragon Ball, where there's a very popular manga already established.
二つ目はいわゆるオタクアニメ。
The second is what's called, what would be more or less otaku animation.
3つ目は監督が作ろうというものをお客さんに届ける。
And then the last type is the where what director wants to convey to the audiences and to the viewers a message or that would be a new creation.
もうどれも当然素晴らしいんですけど、もともと人気な原作があるとか、すごくその特定の人に向かって作るということに関して、僕自身はあまりチャレンジの気持ちにならないんですよね。
Although all three types of his works are very good work, but I myself really don't get excited when there's already a base established to build on.
神山監督のように自分が作ろうというものがあって、それをみんなで集まって新しくお客さんに届けようというものに僕は
As Director Kamiyama's case, where he's creating a new storyline and building a new experience for the audience and viewers, I really feel that that's where I belong, and that we would like to continue to put my effort as a partner team.
原作があるので、あまり取材にも行けないし。
Also, when there's already a base storyline and the manga that's already been popular and established, it doesn't give me an opportunity to go visit new places and experience those scenes myself.
ずっと学校の中で女子高生だけが出てくるアニメに変わる。やっぱり海外に行けないし。
Stories like where a bunch of high school girls are just hanging out, or the daily life of the high school girls, or something like that at the school. I don't need to go to those places.
映画を作るということにして、いろんなことを経験して、いろんなことをして遊んだりするのもいいんでしょう。
So through making of these films and new story creations, going to those places, different places, experiencing and learning that comes along with it, and having fun, and let it be somewhat playful, is part of our work, I think.
アニメーションというのはね、やっぱり最初に言ったんですけども、基本的には絵を描いて動かすものなんですね。
So animation, as you know, I mean, if you really get down to it, it's drawing pictures and making them appear to move, right?
それが見た人たちがね、面白いと思ったり、このキャラクター好きだなとか、このキャラクターに憧れるなとか、そういったキャラクターにしていくためには、やっぱりその作品にやっぱり作り手の思いだったりとか、そういったものが乗っていないといけないと思っているので、これはね、クリエイターによってその方法は多分違うと思うんですけれども、僕たちが作ってきた作品というのは現実に我々がいる世界とアニメの世界どこかでつながっているんだなというような感じをね、やっぱり見てる人が抱いてくれるような作品を作れるのが一番いいんじゃないかなというふうには思ってます。
So I really think that as you make these pictures moves, it's really how well the audience likes the artwork, how well they appreciate the characters, but not just that. It's from the creative side, how much of their personal experience can be infused into the work. And I think that's a really critical element to making something interesting and to having the audiences really appreciate what you're creating, is that personal experience. And I really do feel that that's one key element to making good animation.
それはね、例えばサイバーパンクであろうが、ハイファンタジーであろうが、現実を舞台にしたサスペンスであろうが、それは同じ方法でね、作品にリアリティっていうのを持たせていくことっていうのができるんじゃないかなと僕はそういうふうに考えて監督をしてきています。
So when I direct works and when I think about directing future works, one of the things I try to always keep in mind is regardless of if it's like a cyberpunk or if it's a high fantasy, a really hardcore fantasy show, or even if it's some type of a suspense mystery, how can we add reality and some connection to the real life, the real world, into that work? How can we really merge the two and keep it interesting?
本当にね、見たい人がね、こういうものだけが見たいっていう作品っていうのもあっていいと思うんだけれども、それだけではね、日本のアニメーションのたくさん作られてるわけですから、幅もなくなってしまいますし、違ういろんなスタイルの作品っていうのが出てくることで、海外の人にも見てもらえる機会が増えると思うし、アニメーションを作り続けられる機会っていうのが広がっているんじゃないかなと思います。
And so obviously, you know, every individual has their own preferences when they watch anime. Some people may have a certain genre they like, and that's all they want to watch, and that's okay. But there are many different people out there, and I think it's really the breadth of animation styles and types and genres that we're able to keep creating, the different targeted anime that we're able to keep creating, that lends us the opportunity to expand to a more international audience. And I think through that, we're able to maintain, if not even grow, our animation reputation, skill, industry, vision.
あとはね、今ネットが普及してですね、日本なんかでは、YouTube やニコニコ動画とかですね、動画を配信できるサイトとかがどんどん増えていて、プロではなくてアマチュアの人でもプロに負けないような作品っていうのをどんどん作って、しかも発表する場がすごく増えたっていう、今までは仮に作れたとしても発表する場がなかったと思うんですけども、発表する場が増えたことでアマチュアの人も作品を作れる機会が増えたと思うんですけれども。
Yeah, additionally, I mean, things like YouTube, and have you heard of Nico Nico? Right, Nico Nico Pictures of Tomoga, it's called. Right, these are these vehicles that can help amateurs maybe create their own works. Right, people have been able to create their own works for a long time now, but it's really been how you deliver that to the audience that's been the missing piece. Now with platforms such as the internet and YouTube and Nico Nico, and almost anybody can make quality work. And be able to have a wide viewership.
技術的なことだけでいけばね、どんどんアマチュアの人も技術高くなってますし、情熱の書き方でいけばね、もしかしたらアマチュアの人の方が情熱をかけている作品というのが増えてきていると思うんですよ。
And so, if you think about technology, right? Technology is pretty much an even playing field. Even amateurs can have some really, really good technology at their disposal and be able to create some very technically sound works. And it's not just the technical aspect, it's also passion. You know, they could have a real strong drive and motivation, possibly even stronger than a professional. And they can deliver it that way as well.
そうなった時にね、じゃあ僕たちプロがどういう作品を作っていくべきかっていうことも多分今後問われていくと思うんですけども、そこはやっぱりプロならではのね、ドラマ剣だったりとか、積み重ねてきたテクニックだったりとか、情熱だけではなくて、淘汰されてきた中で培われてきたテクニックだったりとか考え方っていう、そういったものがプロが作っていく作品としての意味っていうのに今後多分なってくると思うので、そういったものを目指していきたいなというふうに思っています。
So as professionals in the industry, we have to think carefully about what type of anime we need to make to not only differentiate ourselves, but to help increase the quality of work out there as well. And you know, there's many different techniques that we can start to use, and many different paths that can be taken. Whether that's you know, certain drama type of techniques, or deeper stories, or connections with other items, but it's really creating that extra depth and that extra element, not just technology, not just passion, but to go beyond that. I think that's really what the role of us as professionals is. What do you think?
ぱり今日本で作られている多くの作品がなんて言うんでしょうね、僕はこういうビジネスサイドを仕事をしているので、やっぱりね、なんかこう安全な方に行こうというなんかこう圧力を感じるんですよね。
So, as a producer working more on the business side of the animation world, a lot of pieces that are being created, even in Japanese animation, I feel that many of them are very conservative and playing very safe.
例えばスティーブン・スピルバーグ監督、ジョージ・ルーカス監督がこのままでは映画が作れなくなるのがあるんですとか、あとはスティーブン・ソダーバーグ監督がもう引退するんだ。
Steven Spielberg and George Lucas, being concerned about great movies, no longer being able to make or being able to be made, or Steven Soderbergh, announcing a potential retirement. So there's a lot of changes in the film industry.
日本のアニメーションもそれに近いことに今までなっているでしょう。
So the Japanese animation could very well follow suit eventually.
僕らは少しでも何人でもそうじゃないものを作ろうっていう人たちに別な可能性も見えてくると思うので。
So as there may be more people that are involved that are trying to create something new and bring something entirely new experience to the audience. I really believe that the industry could regain strength or continue to build on what it's done.
神山監督のようにチャレンジングな監督と一緒に新しい作品を作って、そこに今までと違う形でお金を出してくれたり協力していく人を探すっていうのが一番チャレンジングだったかなと思います。
As director Kamiyama is very challenging director who takes on new approaches and tries new methods in creating and delivering new messages to the audience. I, as a producer, am faced with new challenges to try to find new avenues of raising capital to budget these funds, these films, and try to support his effort on the business front.
じゃあ、あれですね、時間もね、迫ってきちゃったので、質問とかもしあれば、皆さんの方から質問してもらって、じゃあ、答えるとしていきましょう。
So I was just looking at the clock, and we're getting down there in time, but I did say at the beginning that we try to have some time for some questions. And I definitely hope that we can have some good questions from the audience now. And if anybody does, if you could raise your hand. All right. Let's, I think I saw your hand first.
Notice more and more anime has been funded by things like Kickstarter and stuff like that. Do you think that's kind of the way that the industry's going to go now? Like you're saying, more and more amateur people are able to produce high-quality stuff.
Do you think the professional industry will also start to leverage Kickstarter?
Yeah, well, I think they're going to start going into Kickstarter as well.
So let me just repeat the question in case anybody didn't hear it. The question is, with Kickstarter really catching on, do you anticipate the professional industry also making more use of Kickstarter? So you may have heard of director Yuasa. He's part of Production IG as well, and he is working on the work with Kickstarter right now.
これは増えていくと思うんですけれども、まだまだやっぱりその、なんていうんですかね、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんていうんですかね、その、プロダクションのレベルが高いというか、その、なんて スタートで始めた作品の、ね、規模がどうしても大きくなっていかない。アニメーションの場合、やっぱりそのバジェットがどんどん大きくなってきちゃったので、それだけではなかなか難しくて、作品自体がもっと大きくなっていくためには、それだけではなくきっかけにはなると思うんだけれども、そこからさらに広げていくっていう方法をビジネスのスタイルとしては、きっかけにしつつ、もうちょっと大きくする方法っていうのを考えていけるといいんじゃないかなと思ってます。
So, and while I think that Kickstarter is serving a good purpose right now, I do think that perhaps on a scale, it's still not quite large enough. The budgets required to make anime continue to increase quite dramatically, actually. And perhaps Kickstarter is really good at kick-starting, which is good, right? But I don't think that's going to be enough in and of itself to be able to really expand things. So there's still going to be some other method needed, I believe. We'll do both of you. Start in the back.
Since we're more than 10 years past 9/11 and people are pushing back against government security programs, if Ghost in the Shell standalone concepts were released today, how do you think audiences would be set?
Okay. So let me repeat the question to make sure I understood it so that everybody can hear it. It's been more than 10 years since 9/11. And a lot of the American society is pushing back against a lot of government types of programs. If Ghost in the Shell were to be released for the first time today, how do you think that work would be received?
シーズンの題材にしたのは日本の戦後50年に起きた主要な事件ですね。政権を巻き込んだ。それは事件が解決していたからこそ僕も物語の中で解決するストーリーをかけたんですね。
So it's a very difficult question. The answer is not any easier. I think, you know, we use the setting of Ghost in the Shell as really about 50 years after the war. And there's a lot to do with timing of that and how we were able to conclude the story based on the elements of that time.
日本ではね、当時自民党が非常に国民からバッシングを受けていて、少し国民も怒ってた時期だったから、ファーストシーズンの結末に関してはすごくファンのビューイング下がってファン納得したんですよ。で、セカンドシーズンはまさにおっしゃられたように9.11以降のね、アメリカで起きたことだったり、世界で起きている紛争を題材にして作品を作ったんだけども、当時その例えばなんだろうな、イラク戦争に関してどういう解釈をすればいいかっていうことが今よりははっきりしてなかった。
So, first season Ghost in the Shell, you know, at least in Japan, the leading So the liberal, I believe it's, in Japanese they call it Jiminto, but I believe that's the Liberal Democratic Party in Japan was in power. And the Japanese general public was really dissatisfied at that time. And so the conclusion to the first series was really able to gain a lot of sympathy and empathy and connection to that, which worked out really well for us, timing-wise. The second series definitely dealt more with international issues. But I think one of the challenges we have is if you think today, the conclusion or kind of the progress of the Iraq War is much clearer now than it was even 10 years ago. And so I think that would play a part in how it might have been perceived.
なので僕も答えをうまく出せなかったしね、当時の世界情勢をどういうふうに理解するのが一番正しい答えかっていうのがなかったから、セカンドリーグに関しては非常に解釈が曖昧だっていうふうに批評された部分がある。
And I've often been critiqued that really the conclusion to the second gig was ambiguous and vague. And I know myself, it was very challenging to try to put forth a very clear answer in that. But it is what it is.
だから僕自身はその物語が現実に敗北したっていう気持ちだったの、セカンドリーグ。
So I kind of feel like I kind of lost out to the real world in a sense with the conclusion that I put forth in the second gig. Yeah, we lost.
今突然あれを出したよね、どういうふうに皆さんが受け止めてくれたかはね、本当にちょっと想像できない部分があるけど、もうちょっとその僕が描こうとしたことっていうのをストレートに受け止めてもらえたかもしれない。
And so I'm not really sure how it would be received if it was sent out today, but perhaps the audience would maybe understand my thoughts perhaps a little bit clearer than they did at that time. Let's move on to another question.
Okay, to Tomohiko Ishii, what was it like working with Studio Ghibli? Your favorite movie?
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away.
Yeah, Spirited Away was, I love that. Yes.
The question was, what was it like working at Ghibli, and what was your favorite work?
それを含めてちょうど今日宮崎駿監督がベネチア映画祭で引退を発表されたんですよね。
So I don't know if you guys are aware, but just today at the Venice Film Festival, director Miyazaki has announced his retirement.
日本のアニメーションというのはそれまでにもちろんいろんなタイプのアニメーションはあるんですけど、宮崎駿監督たちが始めて、それからもう30何年、40年近く、いまだに彼らが現役で働いてきた。ちょっとなかなか世界で見ても類を見ない業界だと思います。
So the anime industry in itself is unique in one aspect, I think, in that there are so many people that have been working 30, 40 years in the same industry, continuing from very early days, and they're still working today.
ただ例えばいろんなテクノロジーが進化していろんなものが変わってきているのに彼らはなぜ作れるのかっていうことに関して言うと、僕は宮崎駿監督の近くで 7,8 年ぐらい仕事をしてきたんですけど、何かこう新しい技術とか何か流行り物をかけるとか、これがヒットしたからこれをやるんだってことを一切しない人たち。
And so you might think, after all that time, right, with the progress in technology and new techniques and new methods in creating all of this, how are these people really able to keep up, right? Are they going to latch on to the latest craze, the latest fad, and follow that along? And I worked with Ghibli for 7-8 years, and the one thing I can tell you is that those individuals that have been around this long, that's not how they work. They don't do that.
今、カニの監督が言ったように、今世界で起こっていることに対し して自分はこう思うんだっていうことをずっとやり続けていたら常にトップを走っていくんですよね。
And just like Director Kamiyama has talked today, is if you stay true to your beliefs and your convictions, and you keep producing works along those same veins, you will continue to be best of breed in what you do.
実際に彼らも3年ぐらい全く仕事がない時期とか経験していて。
Many of those people even had periods in their career where there were 3 or 4 years with zero work.
なので、すごくその基礎的なものを作るってことをやっぱり忘れると、どんどん大事なことを見失うんだっていうことを宮崎監督から学んだってことが一番だと思います。
So I know for myself, one of the things, the best lessons I learned is that you really should never lose sight of your core values. It doesn't really matter what happens. You have to stay true to yourself and stay true to that message. All right, how are we doing on time here? We've got about 5 more minutes, so let's take one more question, and we'll go with you over there.
Since now that we have like Google Glass and everything, when I first saw that, I immediately thought of this in the shell and all the cycle and stuff. I guess, like, what do y'all think kind of in relation to that? Do you think that cyberization is going to be a benefit to society, or it's going to be more that we really should go into?
Difficult question. Okay, so let me repeat it so that everybody can hear. With Google Glass coming out now, and when she first saw this, she thought immediately of Ghost in the Shell. And the question is, with this type of technology like Google Glass and cyberization, is that something that we as people should really delve into and use? Will it help us in the future, or will it be our downfall?
SF 作品でね、新しいテクノロジーが登場すると、大体人類の敵というふうに描かれてきたんですね。これはチャップリンの映画、モダンタイムズの頃からずっとそうなんですけど。
So, with movies, anytime a new technology in science fiction is introduced, it really ends up being kind of the evil, the enemy, the not good thing.
僕はそういうふうに考えたくなくてですね、新しいテクノロジーは必ず科学自体が人間のためにあるものだというふうに、しかも人間の未来を明るく照らすものであってほしいというふうに考えて作品の一応作ってきています。
And so for me, I can say that, in my works, I've always tried to perceive technology as not something that's bad, but something that's good, something that can help brighten our futures. Not just technology, but science in general.
そう考えないとね、やっぱり技術者たちが考えてきたことって無駄になってしまいましたね。で、逆にその技術者の人たちと交流をすると、彼らはやっぱりアニメや映画の中で描かれてきた空想されたねテクノロジーっていうのをどうやったら具現化できるかっていうことを目標にして仕事されてるっていうことを聞いて、相互にやっぱりイメージをなんていうかな、交換し合って、なのでね、できれば新しいテクノロジーが人間の未来にとって有益なものであってほしいというふうに僕は思っています。
And so I can say that I've heard from discussions even with scientists and technologists that are creating a lot of these future technologies, these cutting-edge technologies, is that they're really trying to do it for good, and they're being influenced, obviously, equally, really, there's a communication that's happening between the movies and the science fiction and the scientists and those people. They're really trying to say, that's an interesting fictional or fantasy type of device. I wonder how we could maybe implement that in the real world. And And so I really, personally, I want to believe that a lot of this technology will be for the good. So I keep a positive outlook.
ね、実際にはね、ネットで悪口とか書かれるとたまにはね、悪役にしてみたくないかなっていうのがあります。
But you know, sometimes reading some of the criticisms online and so forth, it really does provide some good fuel for some possible stories. All right. Then.
じゃあ、そうしましょうか。でも書いちゃった人がいる。
All right, well, with this, we're going to end the panel. We do have an autograph session that's going to happen immediately after this, right across the way there, so we hope that you'll line up and get an autograph or two. And we would like everybody that asked a question today to please just hang out here a little bit and come to the front. And we have something for you. So, anyway, thank you very much.